Welcome to our tutorial about the tempo track. This is what Cubase uses to store your tempo and key signature changes. Basically, you're better off using a tempo track if your song changes speed or if you're recording in MIDI and it changes key. In this tutorial, we'll learn what the tempo track can do for you and how to use it. Tempo is measured in beats per minute. For more info on how this works, please see our video on music theory. The tempo track is the only track that doesn't show up in the track list area. You open it by selecting Project, Tempo Track. You can also use the shortcut Control-T, and that's a Command-T on your Macintosh. As well, you can open it with a Control-click on the Tempo button in the Transport panel. That's a Command-click on your Mac. The Tempo Track Editor window opens. Let's take a moment to review this interface. You should recognize some of these tools by now. Here we've got the Activate Tempo Track button. It's orange when the tempo track is enabled. You'll remember from our tutorial about using the metronome or click track that you're able to refer to either the tempo track, that's when the tempo button is lit on the transport panel, or you can refer to a fixed tempo that doesn't change for the duration of your song. You have these two options while you're recording. When the tempo button is lit, the Activate Tempo Track button is also lit. Cubase will follow whatever is laid out on the tempo track. By the way, the tempo field in the transport panel always displays the current tempo setting at the location of the playback cursor. And even if the tempo track is disabled, any time signature changes you've set up in the tempo track will still take place. That's so your bars and beats will still line up at the right place. Keep in mind, you can't change the tempo of recorded audio, but you can change the tempo of MIDI, as we did in our previous tutorial on stacked MIDI recording. You can modify the speed of events using the time warp tool, which we'll be covering later in this course. But you can't use time warp to change the tempo drastically. Your results will simply be too distorted to be professional. The object selector, eraser, draw, and zoom tools work just like they do in other Cubase editing environments. Same with the auto scroll button here and the snap button here. Here you choose the snap to value. The tempo field displays the tempo value of any selected tempo event or tempo point. Let's talk about tempo points. To insert a point, activate the pencil tool and then click the pencil anywhere on the timeline where you want to insert a tempo change. For example, here. Now the tempo field shows the tempo at this particular point. To adjust the tempo, you can drag the point straight up and down with the pencil tool. This won't add any more points. If you drag to the left or right, however, you will add extra points. Use the Object Selector tool to adjust tempo as well. You can drag the points up or down. Here I'm dragging a range of points that I've selected. I can also drag individual points. Remember that if you're in snap mode, your drawing and dragging are limited by the snap to value. You should enable snap mode if you want your changes to happen, let's say right on a bar or beat, as I've done here. Set the snap grid to 1/1 and then draw in your point. See how if I try to add a point in the middle of the bar, I'm not able to? From the Curve drop-down menu, you can select how Cubase should change the tempo between two selected points. Remember, you need to have 2 points at least selected for this to work. Just shift-select at least 2 points, and this menu becomes active. You can choose jump or ramp. If you choose jump, the tempo will stay the same until the point of the next tempo change, and then it jumps abruptly to the new tempo value. If you choose ramp, which is what I had selected before, the tempo increases gradually from one point to another. The Insert Curve menu gives you the same two options, jump or ramp, but you don't need to have 2 points selected to activate this. Your choice here determines how any subsequent tempo changes will operate. Here I have a ramp. If you're in snap mode, the grid will determine how and where you can enter your tempo change. Keep that in mind. Next, let's talk about time signature. From this drop-down menu, we can select a time signature for our selected point or event. You can enter the value manually also, use the scroll wheel, or click on the up and down arrows. The arrows on the right will adjust the beat subdivisions, and the arrows on the left will adjust the number of beats per bar. Your time signature, as you can see, is shown in this horizontal bar right below the ruler. The Tempo Record slider lets you record tempo changes in real time while the project is playing. Simply move the slider to the right to go faster, and move it to the left to go slower. If you hold down the Shift key, the slider moves more slowly. This will give you finer control. This is the Process Tempo button. It opens a dialog box where Cubase helps you figure out your tempo. You need to enter the total length in bars or the end time in time format. Select the range you want to slow down or speed up, and then in the new range area, enter your new values. Click Process when you're done. The Process Bars button opens a dialog box where you can add and remove parts of your song. Basically, you can insert silence or delete time. Cubase gives you other ways to do this too. You can do this from the regular Edit menu. Under Range, it lets you cut time, delete time, paste time, etc. However, in the Process Bars dialog window, you can do it a little bit more intuitively. It gives you a bars and beats environment where you can calculate the necessary range and then make sure that the time signatures stay in sync. You've got more flexibility this way. Your selection is shown in green on the bar range slider. Drag it to change the length of your selection, but it's a little bit easier to enter your values manually in the start and length fields here. It's also a little more precise. In the Start box, specify the bar where you want to start. In the Length field, specify how many bars you want to act upon. Now let's go to the Action side of this dialog window. You can choose one of 4 options: Insert bars, Delete bars, Reinterpret bars, or Replace bars. We're going to take a moment to talk about each of these options briefly. Insert bars inserts the number of empty bars that you specify in the Length field. The insert position will be your start value. Here I've opted to insert 2 bars at the beginning of the project. Delete bars removes the number of bars you specify at the point of your start value. With my selections here, I'm going to remove the first 2 bars of the song. Reinterpret bars will adjust the range you specify to fit the time signature you enter in this field here. What's cool about this is that the playback stays the same. It's just that the bars and beats and tempo get adjusted to fit your new framework. So if you're changing a 3/4 time signature to 4/4, the quarter notes from 3/4 become half-note triplets. Again, there's no change to the playback. It's just the representation in notation that changes. If you choose Replace bars, you'll replace the time signature, but you won't reinterpret any of the song. When you're ready to go, click Process to apply your changes, and then Close to get back to the tempo editor. We've been working in the main part of this window. It's the tempo display area. Your project will be subdivided into the units that you specify in the ruler, in my case, bars and beats. You're able to easily switch your display from bars and beats to time to other formats, etc. If your project only has one tempo, the tempo display area will show one horizontal line. Here are the horizontal and vertical zoom bars. The horizontal zoom bar lets you see more or less of your song as you require. You basically zoom in and out. The vertical zoom bar displays the tempo ruler in more precise units when you zoom in. Now let's talk about how to add a time signature change. If you want to add a time signature change, click on the Draw tool. Now, click in the Time Signature ruler that's right under the Project ruler. You click where you want to insert the time signature change. Then, choose your new time signature. Use the arrows, enter the value manually, or use your scroll wheel. Time signatures can only be inserted at bar divisions, even if you're not in snap mode. You can move a time signature change by clicking in the Time Signature ruler and dragging with the Object selector. Time signature changes are easy to delete. Simply select the handle in the tempo display area, or you can select the time signature in the ruler and just press Delete on your keyboard. This concludes our tutorial about the tempo track.